Casey Neistat goes on Andrew Schultz's podcast and breaks down why it's important for him to create daily and not do longer projects. Why is this applicable? Because you guys know here we talk about frequency and consistency, but can you have frequency and consistency and still have quality? Can you continue output that is going to keep you going and still have quality? And if you don't keep up the consistency, what does that do to most of us? So let's jump into this video.
Have you been able to do New York in a quote unquote better way the second time?
Yeah, I'm better at doing New York. I'm not as good at working, and I struggle with that.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, for me, it's like if you're a ditch digger, I've been a ditch digger. If you're a ditch digger, you start digging a ditch, you throw the shovel down, go get lunch, go to sleep, go to Hawaii, come back a week later, ditch is right where you left it. Pick the shovel up, you go back. But for me, making videos is more like Sisyphus pushing that stone up the hill, where it's like the minute I stop pushing, it rolls down my back to the bottom. If I go away and come back, I'm at the bottom of the hill.
Can you relate to this, Zach?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You take,
Why?
I mean, it's like flow state, you know, like let's just put it at a workday level. Your first hour is probably the least productive hour of the day, but then it exponentially grows as you continue. So it's the same with if you're uploading every single day, or he's working on these projects every single day, then doing it the next day is just as easy.
Yep.
But taking Saturday and Sunday off, then Monday comes and you're like, what am I talking about? What am I even gonna do? It's like brutal.
I think what he's describing here, because I think this is the same part in the interview where they press him about doing bigger projects, longer projects, films, all these other things. And he's like, I can't. Like, I have to publish every day or I can't keep the output going. Like, I can't start and stop, right?
Yep.
It's like going pee. Like, you're not supposed to start and stop. You know what I mean?
I think it's good for you, actually. You strengthen the pelvic
muscles,
floor.
yeah.
Like Kegels.
But ironically enough, I think this is why I struggle with music. Because music, I can't just drop a song a day, right? I can't drop a song. So I start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. And
it has to be a second.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that us shooting shorts for the music is something we can work in like semi-regularly. But I think he's speaking to something about the idea of creation, flow state, Parkinsons Law, which is whatever you give yourself, usually the work will fill the time.
Yeah.
So if we give ourselves 45 minutes to knock out these 4 topics, we'll fill the full 45 minutes. If we don't give ourselves the time, then we just meander. Right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot here that people don't understand in terms of the content creation process and how to get into the consistency. And again, this is somebody that, what was the streak that he did in terms of vlogging every day? I mean, he went years, right? Yeah.
2-3 years of uploading every day.
Yeah.
And every time it's like it's very hard to find that momentum. So if it's every day I gotta post a video, I can ride that wave. Like till I'm dead, I will ride that wave.
You can't just pop in every few weeks and make something.
And that was the strain the first time, right? That's why you had to leave New York.
Yeah, it's kind of a compulsivity that is like, can be sublimated. It can be harnessed in a really positive way, but turning it on and off is so hard for me.
So what do you do?
Well, luckily, like I don't have, I'm very fortunate not to have the financial burden. Yes,
Suggestion.
sir.
Do you just work on longer projects? So you always have
Listen
someone
to
to work on.
his answer. Pause it. So do you just work on longer projects?
If you always need to be working.
If you always need to be working.
It makes sense. Then you just work on something longer so that you don't have to.
Yeah, Ruslan, why don't you guys do a documentary? Why don't you guys do a film? Why don't you guys do like a vlog? Like, why don't you guys do like a week in the life vlog, right? And this is why. Listen to what he says.
So you always have someone to work on.
Can't do long projects either.
Really?
Don't have the attention span.
Interesting.
None. And I don't like it. I
love his honesty.
The instant gratification.
Come
of
on.
YouTube, that's not just making a video in a day or two or in a week.
Yeah.
But then releasing it to an audience and then within seconds.
Yes.
Feeling that.
Knowing that people are viewing it and they get to see them talking about it.
That's why stand-up's like stand-up. To tell the joke immediately.
Yeah.
And like that feeling that gives me, I've worked on long projects. I've made shows that take a year plus. I've made movies that take years and years and years. Like, no, this is what I love. But that on and off switch, I underestimated how challenging it would be.
How interesting. You know what's funny?
By the way, this interview, me and Zach were texting about it, started off really rocky. And I was like, man, I text you, I said, I don't know who's more unbearable, Casey Neistat or Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of just their personalities.
Yeah.
Because they're like the inverse of each other.
Yes.
Like polar opposite in every measure, in terms of like how crass they are, but it's still the same kind of like chaos. You know, but then this interview actually turned out really well. Like
Yeah.
it once it got going, Because
Yeah.
it's like he's a big kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then if you think about it, like I'm a big kid. Like I need that like dropping,
Yeah.
consistent, keep going, flow state, output.
Yeah.
And that is the unlock.
Yeah.
That is the unlock.
Yeah, I think the funny part about Casey is that he talks about like creativity. Like, oh, there's not a lot of creativity out there. Like I make films. But the filmmakers would say, you're not being creative. You upload every day these sloppy vlogs, right? Like that's what I thought when I first watched
And
Casey
the people
Neistat.
that upload sloppy vlogs think what we're doing is like completely beneath
like,
them.
oh, they just sit with microphones and
talk.
talk.
Yep.
Yuck. You know what I'm saying?
Where's
So-
the art, bro?
Yeah, it's like these cascade of interventions in a sense of like one person thinks that the other person's stuff is less creative or less artistic.
Yeah.
I think they're
Which he was saying earlier in the in that conversation.
yeah, exactly. But I think to his point, do you think it's healthy? Do you think that's healthy, like not being able to turn it off or on? Because I feel like
I don't know. Ooh, that's a good question. I think it just is. I don't know if it's healthy or not healthy. I think some people are just wired that way.
it's like how some people's biology needs caffeine to work.
Correct. It's but my pastor friends are like this the same way. Like I do it in a YouTube standpoint, but like a lot of guys I know that preach regularly, they're always up here thinking about the sermon and the illustration and the Bible verse and so
Yeah.
it's just the only difference is they go up once a week or they get to do it twice a week, whereas like I get to do this 4 or 5 times a week.
Yep,
I think that's the only difference. I think it's the same exact thing though. I think some guys just can't shut it off.
that makes sense.
I
I also think the interesting point about like uploading every day or spending time and creating a nice project is that like especially for smaller channels you're gonna get the same amount of views. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like every now and then I think I'm like, oh, I have a good idea for like a video I can shoot on maybe a Saturday.
This is the one.
No, not even
This
the
is
one,
the
but
one.
like, oh, this is a good idea for a video
Yep.
and I could shoot it on a Saturday.
Yep.
But I'm like, do I want to spend half of my Saturday shooting this video that's going to get just as many views as me sitting down for 30 minutes and shooting a video? Probably not.
Yep.
So there's also like, it's like you got to create systems to also have the output of every single day.
Well, the output is what gets you to get better. The output, the more at bats is what gets you to make better videos, come up with ideas faster and execute faster.
Yep.
And so to your point, if we make a video and it takes us an hour because we want to shoot it and whatever, or we make a video and it takes us literally the length of the video with some minor edits, like usually they're going to perform the same. And we
Yes.
saw that when we eliminated intros from our videos.
Yes.
We would do these like really, I thought were really dope.
Extravagant 30 to 60 second intros.
Yeah, because we were all about like the retention graph, and they were dope, and they were done well, and some of them were really good. And then like we just one day stopped doing them, and the views went up.
Or the
And the
views
views
maintained
went-
at least.
The views maintained, but the overall channel views went up
Yep.
because now we were able to do 2 videos a day instead of 1 video a day.
Yes.
And so everything doubled. Our views doubled, our revenue doubled, everything doubled.
Yep.
If I have somebody working for immediately, my focus is on management, getting the most out of our professional relation, and like
That's
I'm
boring.
not making movies.
Yeah.
So like sitting in my office alone. That's why I don't
Which,
do
which
media.
by the way, this is something that I think he does struggle with. Like he earlier he said like he did some YouTube conference and they said the first thing you want to do is hire an editor, and he's like, F that. Whoever said that, this fool still edits his own videos.
Yeah.
So I think he's an extreme example of this,
Yeah.
right? Like he is an extreme example of this whole like you can't shut it off. I think there are ways to obviously shut it off if you want to shut it off.
Well, and I think like he is a true creator, where other creators are like storytellers or they like growing their business. So they touch 100K a month in AdSense, and they're like, I'm absolutely hiring a team. And he's like, but I'm the reason that we touch 100K a month in AdSense, so I'm never gonna hire a team. And it's like, to each their own.
Yeah.
I don't do phone calls. That's why I've been blowing you off to do this podcast for how many months now? Like, it just means I know. It's not like, well, I'll get something done in the morning, take a quick break, come back to it. It's like, no. The day's gone, most likely the week's gone.
Yeah.
And so finding that balance has been challenging, but I think like I'm getting much better.
Yeah, because if the options are I do a vlog every day, it puts a strain on my marriage, or I don't really know how to work, it's an important balance to find, I would assume, because clearly.
It's existential.
Yeah.
I'm also just so good at fucking off because I can be so busy and do nothing.
And this was Parkinson's Law. This is, we could spend a day and it'd be the most productive day, or we could spend a day and like get almost nothing out.
Yeah.
This is Parkinson's Law. Like if you give yourself a set number of deliverables within a specific number of time, you'll do it. This is one of the reasons why I want to go to a 4-day work week, because I think we can get the same, if not more, output done if there's that carrot at the end of the week going, hey, you guys can take Friday off.
Yeah.
For all of us,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey, we can take Friday off, but the output still has to be the same.
And I also think
we'll figure it out.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, we look back to what we were doing a year and a half ago, and it feels like every 3 months we get a new productivity unlock, right? Hey, let's cut back on this. Let's not do tags on the YouTube videos. Let's not do the intros on the thing. And slowly we create a system where it's scaling faster and faster.
Yep.
And I look back at those times, like, what was I doing? What were we doing?
Yeah, what were we
like,
doing all
you know
day?
what I'm saying? But it's the Parkinson's Law.
Yep.
Is that like we had this expectation that 2 videos was the most we could do on the main channel.
Yep.
And we didn't even have a second or a third channel at that time.
Yep. Yep.
And we were like, yeah, that's just what we got to do.
Yep.
And that day felt like a long day. Let's find the topic.
Yep.
Let's meander. Let's drink some mate. Find our, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Make our thumbnails. Whereas now, Chris is in full time editing videos. We have 3 channels. We're uploading 5 times a day across 3 different channels, and then even through the weekend. And we're actually getting closer to doing a 4-day work week. And it's just that. And it doesn't mean it's not easy. It doesn't mean it's easy though. Like it takes practice.
Yes.
The Parkinson's Law. Like you're like, hey, let's see how fast I can do this. You got to practice it over and over again.
Yep.
Like we're taking the next couple of weeks to try to do half days on Friday. And then eventually we can master that good enough to where we can figure out how to do actual 4-day work weeks.
Yeah. This is wildly important if you're
The
doing
notion that work expands to fill the time available for its completion.
Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Again, if you give yourself an hour to do 1 video, you'll get it done in an hour. If you give yourself an hour to do 3 videos, you'll get 3 videos in an hour.
It also doesn't say work implodes though. Sometimes things just take a certain amount of time.
Sure.
So like, yeah, if you give yourself an hour to make a YouTube thumbnail, you're going to spend an hour. If you give yourself 5 minutes, it's probably, there's diminishing returns. 10 to 15 minutes is probably the sweet spot.
Sure.
To make a quick thumbnail.
I don't think I've ever spent an hour on any thumbnail. Like when
Well,
you're
I
not
was-
here
I was
and I
just
got to
saying-
pump out a thumbnail, I literally find old files.
I know,
with
but then
the
I gotta
same
go back
people.
and I gotta fix it.
It just- it works.
And you don't even rename files. So
I don't rename
I'm
files,
like,
I'll
I
save
click
it.
into something for something and you already deleted everything
That's
in
a
it.
fact.
I was like, gosh darn it.
Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.